Welcome to episode 16 of the Hidden History of Money series, where we cover the topic of the fall of the British Empire. Is America next? What if the world's dominant empire didn't even know it was collapsing? From the legions of Rome to the courts of the Ottomans, history is filled with cautionary tales of great powers that failed to see the writing on the wall. The warning signs are often there, hidden in plain sight, a slow erosion of power dismissed as temporary setbacks or the necessary cost of global leadership. But the cycle is relentless and unforgiving. Take the British Empire. For over a century, it was the undisputed economic superpower, an industrial titan whose influence spanned the globe. An empire on which the sun never set. Its currency, the pound sterling, was the world's reserve. It seemed utterly invincible, until it wasn't. Now, as the US sits atop a mountain of debt, faces sprawling military commitments that stretch its resources thin, and is fractured by a deep, corrosive political division, the parallels are becoming impossible to ignore. For savvy investors, this historical echo raises a crucial question. Is America following the same path? Stay until the end, because we'll reveal the single most critical investing lesson from Britain's decline. It's a powerful strategy that shows you how to protect and even grow your wealth in times of great uncertainty. If you enjoy macro insights like these, be sure to share, like, and subscribe to Finance Arcana, where financial history becomes your strategic edge. In 1815, after defeating Napoleon, the British Empire entered its golden age. The pound sterling was the world's reserve currency. London was the financial centre of the world. Global trade flowed through British ports and banks. This was not just an empire of conquest, it was an empire of finance. But herein lies the twist. Economic power planted the seeds of financial fragility. The more Britain extended its influence, the more it relied on credit, military enforcement, and resource extraction. Sound familiar? Then came the cracks. World War I shattered Britain's balance sheet. The gold standard, once the bedrock of its financial power, became a golden cage, shackling its ability to finance the unprecedented industrial conflict. To fund the war, Britain had no choice but to suspend it, print money, and accumulate a mountain of debt. After the war, driven by a potent mix of pride and nostalgia, it tried to recapture past glory. The decision was made to return to the gold standard at the pre-war parity, a move intended to project enduring strength. That was a catastrophic error. With the British economy fundamentally weakened, the re-pegged pound was now dangerously overvalued, crippling exports. The economy buckled under a crushing deflationary spiral. Unemployment surged to devastating levels. The general strike of 1926 paralyzed cities, a stark symbol of a nation at war with itself, its social fabric tearing. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the US, flush with the world's gold, began its inexorable ascent, eagerly replacing Britain as the world's primary lender. Then came World War II, a conflict that demanded an even greater sacrifice and delivered the final blow. By 1945, after 6 more years of total war, Britain was utterly bankrupt, its national debt soaring to over 200% of GDP. Its vast imperial ambitions had written a check its hollowed-out economy could no longer cash. To rebuild, it turned to the United States for a massive loan. But this lifeline came with a fatal condition, a clear signal of the New World Order, making the pound sterling fully convertible to the dollar. The resulting currency crisis was swift and brutal, draining Britain's remaining reserves in a matter of weeks, accelerating the dollar's rise, and sealing the pound's fall from grace. The pound lost its status as the world's reserve currency. The British Empire, financially hollowed, receded into history. Today, the United States stands where Britain once stood, at the precarious summit of global power, a peak that feels deceptively permanent. It's a position of unparalleled influence, but also one of profound vulnerability, where the view from the top can obscure the cracks forming in the foundation. It possesses the world's global reserve currency, and a massive military presence, the twin pillars of its dominance. Yet the same cracks appear: ballooning debt, deep political division, and, just like Britain, the seductive temptation to finance power with printed money. Here's the question that haunts macro investors. Is the US repeating the empire trap? History suggests the real threat isn't war or rebellion. It's the slow, insidious rot of economic complacency. It's the dangerous belief that this time is different, that the old rules of finance no longer apply, that a nation's exceptionalism can somehow suspend the laws of economic gravity. Britain believed it could return to normal after printing vast sums. America now echoes this sentiment, justifying unprecedented monetary expansion as a necessary response to modern crises. The justifications evolve, but the core action and its predictable consequences remain the same. But history has a price. The cycle is relentless, and the markets, with their cold, impartial logic, eventually collect. As traders and investors, here's the insight: empires rarely fall all at once. They rot slowly, from the balance sheet inward. Currency debasement, debt monetization, loss of credibility. These are the signs. You can't time the collapse, but you can position for the slow-motion decline. Gold, select foreign assets, inflation hedges, hard currency strategies, betting against overvalued sovereign bonds. These are not doom and gloom plays. They are capital preservation tactics that outperform during long declines. Britain failed to adapt its monetary policy to a changed world. It clung to legacy status. It underestimated inflation. It overplayed its geopolitical hand. America has a choice. For the global macro investor, this is where opportunity lies. Monitor fiscal policy. Watch for real yield divergence. Track capital flight. Because when confidence shifts, reserve currencies fall fast. Here's your bonus insight. So what did Britain fail to do that the United States must now get right? The British Empire collapsed because it refused to deleverage when it still had the power to. Instead of shrinking its footprint, cutting costs, or reinvesting at home, it doubled down on military commitments and monetary expansion, even as global demand for the pound waned. Sound familiar? Here's the play. Watch for any serious effort to restore monetary credibility, higher real rates, fiscal discipline, or hard asset backing. The moment you see a real pivot, not just talk but coordinated sacrifice, it may mark the bottom for the dollar and the best entry point for long-duration US assets. If that pivot doesn't come, then start rotating into assets that benefit from long-term imperial decline. Hard commodities over paper promises gold and Bitcoin over bonds, non-dollar assets tied to real demand, like emerging market producers or commodity-backed currencies. This isn't just about history, it's about anticipating the next reserve currency regime, and those who recognize the signs early will ride the next supercycle, not get crushed by it. If you found this useful, like, share and subscribe to Finance Arcana, where history becomes your portfolio's edge. Thank you for watching The Fall of the British Empire. Is America next? Stay tuned to our other upcoming episodes of the Hidden History of Money series.